What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am your host, Reckless Rex Ruger, your bastard of ceremonies. This is, of course, the Freddie Mercury puppet. We got another great episode of Pod Scum. You, of course, know that you were looking at Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. At least you should know that. Undeniably, we will find out soon through DNA testing and my fleet of attorneys that you are looking at the son of glam, the front man for the band, the peanut butter to your jam. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Adored by millions of fans. Mr. Wop, Bop, Loo, Bop, Wop, Bam, Bam, Shazam. Hot damn. I'm looking good. And of course, I'm really looking good today. Ooh, and feeling good. Our guest is here. You know, this is where the cool kids come to chop it up. Only with your boy, Rex Ruger. And we got another great one today. Let's get down to it. Very excited. Tony.
Hey, what's up, Mark?
How's it going, man?
Really good.
I lost your camera there. There you go. I really prefer for legal purposes, though, in my ongoing case to refer to me as Diamond David Lee Roth Jr., as you can tell.
All right, whatever you want, man.
You know, I mean, it's not going as well as I'd like to, man, but I tell everybody I just want a little bit of that Panama money. That's all.
Yeah, you've earned it, right?
I've earned it. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, of course, by being shunned by my father all these years. I mean, come on.
Hey, man, you're still breathing. You're still alive.
That's all that counts. That's all that counts. And by the way, I want to start off by asking you, because my day job is in the healthcare field. I do work as a nurse. How is your own health?
You know what? I'm healthier than ever. I'm still, backstory, I had a stroke 23 years ago.
Right.
It almost killed me, but I survived, and I'm healthier now. I'm in the best shape of my life at 51. I'm creatively, I'm in 5 bands. The MUGGS are still out there. We're not taking on as many shows. We're not touring it at all right now. But I'm in my own band, which I call Dude. And I'm in another blues rock band called the Hourlies from Detroit. So between the MUGGS, the Hourlies, and Dude, I have those 3 original. And then I'm in a Ween tribute band, which is interesting, and a Peter Green Fleetwood Mac tribute band. So,
wow.
But you know, so like creatively, I'm at the top of my game, pushing myself at the gym. I'm still a gym rat.
Yeah.
I'm doing everything I can, and savoring every minute of it. And so I still have paralysis. My right hand doesn't work. There are pieces to the puzzle still missing. But managed to scratch out a great living. A great life. It's kids. No hope in music. Do it because you love it, but it's feast or famine, and most of it's famine.
It's a tough living. Yeah, it's definitely a tough living.
But it's the most rewarding living I know. It's gotten me to tour the world several times over, and yet here we are. I still don't have a nickel to my name in terms of music, anything meaningful, but. With every new release is a new time, a new opportunity to shine, and you never know what's going to happen. That's what I love about life. You just never know.
So what would you consider right now? Because I primarily know you through the MUGGS. So would you still consider that your main gig, so to speak?
My ex-wife, when I was a young man, she said, when I was coming up as a musician, and I would always say what I was doing, I was a waterproofer or scrapyard, and she'd say, T, why don't you say you're a musician? And it struck me, and from that moment on, I've always said I'm a musician, and I just do whatever it takes to make ends meet. So I've been a musician now for 30 years, and I'll be a musician to the day I die. But I have other gigs that make ends meet, but that's what I do, man. I write music, and I perform music, and I write bass lines. I pretend I'm John Paul Jones when I'm playing with the Hourlies or the MUGGS. I'm a songwriter. I pretend I'm John Lennon when I'm writing Dude, or go down the rabbit hole. All my heroes, Todd Rundgren, Big Star, The Pretty Things. The list goes on and on.
Yeah. Now, so, going back, if you're okay talking about it, when you did go through the stroke, because I think this is an interesting and inspirational thing for people to hear, how much of your ability to play was lost, and did you think maybe being a musician was a done deal?
I thought my career was over, man. It was the worst that you could imagine. I was paralyzed, completely paralyzed on my right side. I lost the ability to speak. So I had to learn I taught myself how to talk again and walk again. And being a bass guitar player and a songwriter, I thought just, my career was over. And then a guy, a friend of mine, fabulous musician, his name is Matt Smith. He's one of the best songwriters in Detroit. Even Jeff Tweedy, talks about him and his songwriting prowess. Look him up. Outrageous Cherry fame. He suggested to me, he planted the seed in my head. Hey, Tony, like the MUGGS were so freaking great. Have you ever considered, playing with your left hand like Ray Manzarek and Fender Rhodes bass? And if not for him, I don't know where I would be. At the time, I still thought I had a chance to get my right hand back, but as it turned out, like a year and a half went by, and I just loved music so much that it was like, shoot, this sounds like a pretty good idea. So I taught myself how to play the bass with my left hand, and I'm always going to be a bass guitarist in my mind. And so it's pretty unique. It's been done before, but it's pretty rare. But I just do what I do, and and I employ my imagination all the time when writing songs, and just being creative. Now I've been doing it for so long, man. When I write a song, I write it on the bass, on the piano, on my Fender Rhodes piano. But I hear symphony. I can add horns. I can add strings. I can hear guitar parts in my mind, and it's kind of like a blessing. I know it sounds weird, but I had to have a stroke to become the powerful, songwriter that I am now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least you found a way to find, like, not to sound cliche, that silver lining though amongst all of it. I mean.
Yeah, well, I'm a staunch advocate of, like, what's done is done. You can't change the past. But what can you do moving forward?
Right.
And I've never felt bad for myself. I'm a Detroiter. We all play hard, work hard, play hard. And I pull my bootstraps up and go to work every day. I blood, sweat, and tears in the gym.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm pushing myself more now than I ever have. I'm using food as medicine, just meditating more, and, the Wim Hof breathing techniques and cold showers. And I just feel so inspired. It's just so counterintuitive. You'd think I would be regressing at the older I got, but I've always considered myself a late bloomer, and man, I'm just having fun.
What was the breathing technique that you just mentioned? I didn't catch that.
Are you familiar with Wim Hof? He's coined as the Iceman on YouTube, and he's oh man, look him up on YouTube. He's a worldwide sensation, freak of nature. He can actually control his adrenal gland, and he's got all these world records for exposure to cold, and like WIM and then HOF. That's his name, Wim Hof. And he's just inspiring. He's got his own great story, and so just this breathing technique of, like, inhaling deeply and then blowing it out, like 30 times in, 30 times out. The last time you blow out, you hold your breath for as long as you can, and then you inhale and then hold your breath for as long as you can. You do that 3 sets of 3 times, so it's 3 sets of 30, and then holding your breath. And scientists have said this could increase your lifespan by 5 to 7 years just by doing that, by imbuing your body with oxygen. And like I said, I'm just I love biohack. Just everything I can do to get that edge. Because I've suffered enough. I suffered on the front end, so I want to
Well, I get where you're coming from because I'm 51 years old too, and as a matter of fact, I just early this afternoon I just went to my doctor's. I had done my yearly fasting labs or whatever, which he orders every year just as a precautionary thing. They were pretty good. My cholesterols and my bad cholesterols were all way down, but my A1C and my sugar was a little bit up, and I had gained a few pounds, which he so lovingly let me know. So I'm always looking for stuff too that's kind of cutting edge and not just your regular cookie cutter way to take care of yourself at 51 years old. You know what I mean? Which it seems like the norm nowadays is shove a bunch of medicine down your throat. You know what I mean?
I don't think the FDA or Big Pharma has our interests at heart.
No doubt.
I just don't. It's just it's sad to say this, but they're just it's just a ruse. They're just we're just a guinea pig, and I could go on, but I would say the biggest thing I found, my biggest ally is on Instagram Reels, and these algorithms are pretty elegant these days, and you can find doctors who will suggest things to you, and I just don't take that at face value. I research it before I follow anything, but enough research, and then I pull the trigger, and I'm just eating more, like speaking with food as medicine. I'm doing dark chocolate every day because the cacao, actually, they've done some research that it can regrow stem cells, which is important for me being a paralyzed guy that I am. And nuts, my goodness, the walnut looks like a brain. It's begging you to eat it.
I know.
And all the nuts, and the good oils.
A lot of people don't realize how much you can change, man, just through diet, man. Like, I think a lot of people think like, oh my God, I'm overweight, I need to panic, I need to run out and get on this medicine or this weight loss program or this weight loss program. And you really kind of control it by not even changing a lot of what you eat, just having some self-discipline, some portion control, and just watching what goes into your body.
And it's at our age, and I mean, it's no secret. It's 80% diet and 20% working out. So for me, it's just maintaining my muscle mass and bone density. And I'm a big guy for the musician. I'm one of the bigger musicians in the Detroit area. So I was a athlete all my life as a gymnast, and when I had my stroke, I've still maintained my physique. It's like I can work out. That's the mean, like working out throughout my whole life. I've been running around since I was 6 years old, but I can gain weight by eating and I'm still working out, or I can lose weight and I'm by dieting. And it's just, I caution the word diet because diets don't work. It's a lifestyle change.
Right.
So you have to commit to, so I try to, just eat when I'm hungry rather than eating 3 meals a day. It's proven that the BS. You can eat 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day, and you'll be fine. It's self-discipline. That's all it is. So
so let me go back to the beginning, man, and chop it up with you like about your musical journey. So, and I usually kick off with this question, but it was fascinating us talking about the health stuff. But was there a specific song or an album or maybe an artist that really kind of lit the fuse for you on this musical journey? Something that inspired you?
Well, yeah, it goes back to the and it's pretty cliche answer, but it goes to the Beatles, man. Ever since I was young, the Beatles, just hit you, makes you feel good as a young child. Like, my goodness, like 4 or 5 years old. And I didn't know it at the time. I just gravitated towards that music. And then when I met my, my bandmate Danny in high school, Danny MUGGS, we were kind of late to the prom, so to speak, because we didn't pick up our instruments until we were 17, 18. Most of the musicians I know, like, they're 9 or 10, horn, like there were activities in school. Danny picked up an acoustic guitar up at Michigan State University when he was 18, and he made it look like so much fun that I had to, follow suit. And then we're both playing acoustic guitar, and then we formed a band. But we always were in love with the Beatles, and then on the opposite end of the musical spectrum, the blues was very important to me and Danny. And
Yeah.
you know, eventually, we were in bands before that, just trying to chase down, the 90s sound, and just find out who we were as songwriters. And then eventually we just decided to marry, the rock and blues, and the MUGGS came about, and Danny was the lead guitar player and I was the lead singer. And then he wanted to lead sing, and I'm like, that's great, man. I'll back you up and do harmonies, or I'll just play bass, whatever you want. And we were always supposed to be a 4-piece, but no one wanted to play the other lead guitar for us in town. So we were just like, we had this badass drummer, Matt Rost. He was kind of like our Mitch Mitchell, like jazz. He fused jazz and rock, and man, he was just tremendous for the first 2 albums. So we decided to be a 3-piece because we didn't want to lose Matt, and then we started writing for as a 3-piece, inspired by all the greats.
Yeah, I find it also very heartwarming too, though, man, that despite you going through like what you went through, like with your health issues, man, and it's probably very rare instances like where this happens, man. But your bandmates, particularly Danny, man, were extremely loyal, like during your like recovery and your like recuperation process.
Oh man, it was just I'll never be able to thank Danny enough for waiting for me, because he could have easily replaced me, and he'll say, Tone, there was no replacing you. But we are still best friends to this very day. And that gesture of love and kindness and support, man, it made me want to recover and do well and get back to music, although I didn't know I could at that point, until I had that conversation with Matt Smith. And then and then I asked Danny, and I said, hey Danny, do you mind if I try this out, because it's pretty unconventional? And he said, go for it, man. This is what I was waiting for. And to know me, I'm 110% guy. I don't, you can't bullshit a 3-piece. It's either got to be all or nothing. And Danny's a tremendous guitar player and songwriter. Matt's a tremendous drummer. So I had to step up and be that guy on the bass. And I had to learn a new instrument, but it was fun. The journey, was tremendous. I just loved every second of it. And getting up to speed, I got up to speed pretty damn quick. It's probably, I was practicing in California. I was doing this alternative therapy at the time. This was January 2003, and I was rehearsing on my own, just trying to teach myself, the piano as a bass guitar, and like 3-4 hours a day for 4 months straight. And I was just tenacious, man, insatiable. That gave me enough knowledge to, when I got home in June, we started rehearsing in August, and by September we were back as a band. Almost 2 years to the day that we were down, but I came back, and then God, our careers just got jump started. We got signed by a local label, and then came out with our first album in 2005, and then we went to Spain on tour in 2007, and the TV show later that year in 2007.
Yep.
The next album came out in 2008, and boom, boom, boom. Like we're just off and running, man. 6 albums later, here we are.
And now Danny and you are both so creative, prolific creatively. When you guys get together to do, let's say hypothetically you're about to write like a new a MUGGS album or whatever, man. What's the process like? Like, does somebody come in with the lion's share of the ideas? Is it you guys getting together? Is it very collaborative? How does that work when you guys are going to get together and actually create?
Oh man, it's 90% Danny. He's got all the ideas. It used to be more like when we were first starting out, it was I would help out with some riffs or lyrics, but this truly is Danny's project. And I mean, I don't mean that, and I'm not jealous or anything. I love, like, this is our band. We started this, me and Danny, but he comes up with all the brilliant ideas, and I chip in on the bass lines. I take pride in, like, pretending I'm John Paul Jones, or, Greg Ridley from Humble Pie, or, Andy Fraser. And I just have my fun, but it's mostly Danny. And he writes all the brilliant lyrics, and he's just got this, and likewise, my project, I do all the songwriting and the arranging. And so we have our own separate projects, but with the Muggs, it's, oh, Captain, my Captain, Danny Muggs, man. Yeah.
So same question then, like with your other bands, as you said, when you're writing the songs, and like you're kind of kind of the leader, or these are your particular projects. What's your own individual creative process like? Like I talk to musicians on here, and you've got there's so many different ways guys create. There's guys who kind of sequester themselves in a room and make themselves write. I hear a lot of guys getting inspiration in their car or at their day job. Like what's your own individual creative process like? Like if you were going to sit down right now and say, I'm going to write some songs.
Yeah, it's multifaceted. Sometimes I'll hear a song on Spotify, and I'm like, damn, that song's kicking my ass. And
I wish I wrote that.
Yeah, and then you take all that creative juice, and you just sit down and you start fumbling around with a riff, or like a 3-chord melody, and then something happens, and then like the melody is solid. Now, if I can cobble together a couple of lyrics, or just get the cadence of what it could be, and right. Then sometimes I'm struck by lightning, and I'll write a song in that 1-hour session. But mostly, and I'll say this to anyone that's listening that wants to get into music, it's always the journey that matters, and you have to be diligent. You can't expect to, if you're going to write like once a month, you're going to fail. You have to be obsessed with it. And my process is, when I get that bug, I'll sit down and write something, and for 10 ideas, one idea sticks, and there's right. One song that I'll actually come to fruition of those 10 times trying to write a song, and then it gets easier for a while, and then you're just like, wow, this is I'm just getting into writing songs again. I'm working on my 3rd album right now. I have 4 albums written. I just came out with what I deem my best album to date. It's an album called Autobiography, and I came out with a book too. I wanted to mention I wrote a book. It's called Autobiography.
Okay.
Yeah, this is, and it's a lot of the Muggs and me in the hospital, and it's an autobiography about my journey into music and my stroke, and it's Muggs heavy. So any Muggs fans who are listening, I would love for you to pick it up. I have a website I had to make, because who the hell is Tony Muggs? It's right. TonyMuggs.com, TonyMuggs.com. And you can get it from me. I always say get it from me personally. Get my email, and then I'll sign it for you, and I'll mail it out to you, rather than,
I need that. Yeah.
Rather than Amazon. Amazon, it's the cost of doing business, but you would be disgusted by what they actually give the artist, which is nothing. But it's the cost of doing business. I would rather have a book that, if you buy it from them, I get my trick or treat bag with the apple with a razor blade, a couple pennies, and the Tootsie Roll.
Right.
Or
right.
you can buy it from me, and I actually make a couple $dollars from it, and I'll sign it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on the other side, so I always intended to come out with a book and the album. So that's the album is called Autobiography as well, and it's my best songwriting yet. It's my best production. I pretend like I'm Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, or George Martin for the Beatles in the studio. And I really try to produce it like that, because live you can shake it out any which way. Like even Jimi Hendrix, he always dressed it up to the nines, and so he had you had two ways of listening. You had the gorgeous album where all the psychedelia and all the production, and you could check out Jimi Hendrix live, and it was a total different experience.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what I try to do with Dude, and even the Muggs. We always try to polish it up like a Queen, or Led Zeppelin. So like I said, I'm just inspired, and I'm working on my third album right now. So that's my process. I'm working on I just wrote a song that'll be on my third album, my third Dude album, that I thought up in my head, and I did this as an exercise, that I wanted to complete the whole song in my head before I brought it down to the piano and figured out what key it was in.
Yeah.
And so it's just man, if you catch the bug and you're obsessed like I am, and a lot of Detroit musicians are, it's just a joy. And you just have to do it for yourself, because there's no knight in shining armor that's going to save you and give you a sack of gold and say, job well done, son. That's not going to happen. So you got to do it for yourself. And if I can inspire somebody, some young kids, then I would love to, just, if that's my legacy, that's great.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on. The whole story is inspiring. You don't see a lot of musicians go through, regardless of what genre you like or whatever. There's very few stories that are like that. Like, it comes to mind, the drummer for Def Leppard. I mean, the guy loses a fucking arm, and his bandmates fucking stand alongside of him and don't replace him. I mean, that's that's rare.
Yeah, they know the meaning of pals. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the meaning. Yeah, exactly. So after you have the stroke, what was, in your opinion, the hardest part about getting back? Like, is there something that you had to learn? Like, was there some obstacle? Like, what was the biggest hurdle, that you found the most confounding?
It was just, I'd still struggle with it. My right side is still healing. Maybe it'll never fully heal, but it's just, I found that when I get nervous, my right side, especially my right arm, does goofy shit, and my leg will start shaking uncontrollably sometimes. Even through all of my therapy, it's just like I just have, nerve damage, or like brain damage, I suppose, because it all stems from the brain. I had a left side stroke, so that knocked out my right side. And there are different, every stroke is different. I mentioned that in my book, but it was just, I felt, and my emotions were flipped upside down. It was just like I got my ass kicked good and proper, and it was just coming back to life again, in this junkyard of a body I inherited. I wasn't fucking around with drugs or anything. I had what's called an AVM, arterial venous malformation. I was born with this condition. I didn't know, and I was always in the best shape of all my friends. I ran a marathon almost a year and a half before my stroke. And you figure a marathon, that stress on the body would have triggered the stroke. No, I was just talking on the phone, trying to set up some studio time when it happened. But just what is left is like my right side is compromised, and I just felt like a monster at first. You just your whole world is flipped upside down, and
sure.
And so it was just gradually coming back to some kind of peace and stability in my life. And my mom and my stepdad, Judy and Gary, were just so instrumental. They didn't get on me, like after a year and a half, they didn't get on me and say, lean on me and say, you bum, you got to get a job now. They just let me figure my shit out, and I can never thank them enough. I remember telling my mom I wanted to be a musician, and she's got to be thinking, oh my God, here I am, paralyzed on my right side, and I want to throw myself and put myself in a spot of a musician, a professional musician.
Yeah.
And crazier things have happened. And I had two things, like rehab and music, and both of them, kind of saved my life and gave me distractions. and something to work at. And I'm a hard worker, like whether I'm working on a song, working on my house, cleaning a house, it doesn't matter. Or working out, I give it my all. And, I wanted to make, my parents proud, my family proud, my friends proud. My God, Danny waited for me. I couldn't let him down, so I had to be the best version of myself. But it was a process, at first I was scared to death to play live, and I always play stage left. So if you can imagine, if you're in the audience and you're looking at the stage, I'm always on the left hand or on the right hand side, audience right, stage left. So that, I'm hiding my stroke side. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to distract the listener. Like, what is he doing? Why isn't he using, because hardly anybody knows my story. And the funniest thing, Mark, you're going to appreciate this. Or, I'm sorry, David Lee Roth, you're going to appreciate this. The funniest thing that, and God bless, the people that come up to me and say this, but it's just so funny. So we'll pack a place, and, a listener, a fan will come up and say, "Man, you guys are great, but you know what you guys need? You guys need a bass player." And I'm like, "Oh my God." Well, I'll just go with it. And I'll just say, "Man, we were just thinking about that."
What a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, what a great idea.
No, we'll look into that.
Yeah. Now go buy something from the lunch table.
Well, I get curious because obviously I do work in the healthcare field. So like when there's a health affliction or something with one of my guests, there's that nurse inside of me that, kind of wants to, I'm fascinated by like the body and the disease process and stuff like that. So this is something they attribute to being a hereditary thing. But do you know anybody else in your family or anywhere like along the line that suffered from this?
No, as a matter of fact, there's only a 15% survival rate of what I suffered. And, my brain surgeon, I never had to have surgery, but I was assigned a brain surgeon, and I wasn't supposed to live. And my dad, I remember my dad asking him, "Why did this happen?" And he just said it was bad luck. Just some people are, I think, statistically, there's like 250,000 people that are born with this a year.
Wow.
And it's so rare. And like I said, like 85% of people die from this. And I feel like I'm at the top of my class. If there is a straight A student from like the stroke world, ABM, you're looking at them, because I've accomplished so much in my life after my stroke. Yeah. And it just, I don't know if it's the sheer willpower or I'm lucky. Who knows? But I decided to live my best life. Like I said, I suffered on the front end. I was 28, and now I'm just living it like I've always said. I live a like fairy tale lifestyle.
It's fascinating though, because this thing is hereditary. It's lying dormant in you. You're in ridiculously good shape early on in your career. As you said, you're running marathons. Then suddenly, like this thing, just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just comes up and fucking wallops you.
Yeah, I mean, it just started losing my. So I was on the phone with somebody trying to line up some studio time, and I started losing my speech, and it freaked me out. So I hung up the phone on her. And then from there, it just went downhill. Thankfully, I was at work, and my boss thought I got stung by a bee, because at that point I couldn't talk, and I think I was just slowly becoming paralyzed because I tried to write something. I was right-handed before my stroke, and I tried to write something down with my right hand, and it was just like chicken scratch. And he's like, "Oh, you're scaring me, man. You must have got stung by a bee or something." So he sent me to the hospital and had a salesman drive me, and it just got worse from there. I was literally on my deathbed, and the only thing that saved my life was my brain stopped bleeding at a certain point. Just stopped bleeding, and rather than perform brain surgery, corrective brain surgery, the doctor said, he got his ass kicked. Let's just see how this, like he's surviving for now. Let's just see how it goes. So they waited 6 months. I had what's called an angiogram. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Very, yep.
And it turned out that my brain healed itself, which is very rare. But I had, I was 2 months in the hospital. I had blood clots. I had a blood clot in my lung from the inactivity of my right side. I mean, anything disastrous you could imagine. I suffered, and my circulation in my legs are shit because I had blood clots in my groin, knee, and ankle on both sides, both legs. And I'll tell you what, man. But you never know. You just stay positive, and life could be beautiful if you want it. You just have to see it that way, and
And
that's why.
now what do you chalk it up to? Because the recovery almost sounds like in a lot of ways, divine intervention, or call it whatever you want, a miracle or whatever. But like, are you by nature a spiritual guy? Like, what do you attribute it to?
One of my nicknames is Tony Blue Skies. I'm not. I was religious when I was younger. I'm atheist now.
Okay.
So, but I am spiritual. I don't believe in God and the devil. But just because science hasn't invented an instrument to measure something, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So,
right.
Maybe there is an afterlife. I don't believe it's the afterlife that religion teaches us, but maybe there's a fifth or sixth dimension. That's where we go when we die. I don't know. But I've always felt very spiritual and very in touch with my body, and very confident that I could pull through anything. I'm very pragmatic. My mom and dad love puzzles, and I remember when I was trapped inside my body, I couldn't speak, and I was completely paralyzed. And even I got down, sure, because I'm human, but I was like, just give me some time, I can figure this out. And that was always my approach. I can figure this out. Just give me some time. Buy me some time. I can figure this out. And and I feel like I'm Rocky 2.0. I grew up.
Yeah.
I grew up with all the heroes I needed, like Luke Skywalker, Rocky,
sure.
$6 Million Man. Down the line, it's a cliche, but life is what you make it. And I've always had the wherewithal to say, okay, like giving up is boring. I've never been that guy, because it's just fucking boring.
Yeah.
And get out. I'll hear you. I can listen to you cry a river, because boy did I cry some tears. Through what I've been through. But ultimately, if you're not willing to make the sacrifice and do something about it, shut the fuck up, man. I mean, because I'm trying my hardest, and I guess we're not equal. If I'm trying my hardest and you've given up, so I don't have time for people like that in my life. I'm very empathetic, but at some point you have to take responsibility for yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I like the Luke Skywalker thing. I would go with the Force. You cured yourself with the Force.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what. As a gymnast in high school, our coach would always have us visualize. This is the first time I ever, worked with meditation and visualization, was in high school. And being a gymnast, like he would, we had routines that we would do on, the rings or the floor
right.
exercise. And he would sit us down, and we'd close our eyes, and he would say, visualize a perfect routine. And so, I was a follower, and I listened to authority back then. Not anymore, but back then I was like, yeah, okay. And so that taught me that gave me like a powerful tool in the tool belt. So when I was in ICU, like the step down unit, because I was on like death watch for a couple days, and then so after like I was out of the woods, I was in a step down unit in ICU. And my dad reminded me, like I must have told my dad the story about like visualization. He says, I want you to, visualize yourself getting better. And so what I did is I would visualize, and this was for 6 months straight. I would, before I went to bed, back in those days, getting to bed, I was so tired. The stroke zapped me of all good energy. I was
Oh,
getting to
yeah.
bed at 8 p.m. I mean, it just put my world upside down. So getting back to the visualization, I would visualize kneeling down on my brain, and I had this magic needle and magic thread, healing thread, and I would stitch my brain back up
Wow.
wherever I visualized the bleed. I would stitch it up, and you know, I had the sponge, this yellow sponge, and I would sop up all the blood on my brain and wring it out and
Yeah.
use both my hands, and for 6 months straight, like my life depended on it, I did this, and then lo and behold, my brain healed itself. So you know, I believe that you can talk to your body and you can manifest things
Oh,
if you
without a doubt. Yeah, the
if you
mind is a
truly believe.
powerful. Yeah, I mean, the mind is a powerful. You know, you can will a lot of diseases away, and if you're able to ward off, you know, a lot of those outside distractions. You know, like it's been proven, people that suffer with cancer. You know, I mean, like when they let stress and anxiety in, you know, it worsens their condition. You know,
Yep.
you know, there's a lot of there's a lot of external factors that aren't necessarily physical that can you know add to the disease process. You know what I mean? Like keeping your stress level low, your anxiety level low. You know what I mean? Like you know, there's a lot of things that you know that can come into play that you know that you do have more control over.
Absolutely. And you know, I'll remind everyone of the placebo. The placebo works 50% of the time, and scientists can't figure it out. So it must be us manifesting. Like if we
Sure.
believe that fervently in ourselves, then you can cure yourself. And you know, I'm kind of disappointed that I haven't cured myself of paralysis yet, but it doesn't mean I try my hardest every day, and I wake up with a fresh attitude. And you know, as long as I don't go backwards, I'm fine with who I am.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm an open book, literally and contextually. I wrote a freaking book, and I would
Yeah.
encourage everyone to buy it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
but
And
yeah,
once I get a copy of it, I will certainly, you know, I like to, I forget often, but I try to, at the end of these episodes, I try to share some type of piece of art, whether it's a book or whether it's an album or whether it's something that, you know, regardless, I'm not trying to force it down people's throat. It's just something that I can say, hey, you know, this piece of art is out there. It impacted me a certain type of way. It might impact you a certain type of way. And you know, certainly when I get my hands on your book, I'll certainly hold it up and let people like, you know, see the
thank you.
product and like let them know like how it, you know, how it affected me.
Yeah, you know, I just I always suggest, like, you know, there's good music out there. Like you can go down the rabbit hole. Like that's why I love Spotify and you know these
Yeah.
streaming services, because I've discovered new music and old music. Like, and it's just endless and endless inspiration for me as a musician. Um,
Are you able to find new bands that excite you though? Because I
oh my
tend to
God,
like when
yes.
I'm puttering, you know, like when I'm puttering around the house or cleaning or doing this or that or whatever, you know, and I want to listen to music from a fan standpoint, you know, for a while there, I was very caveman-esque. I would just go back to my old favorites and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to throw on something that's, you know, comfortable and familiar to me. You know, doing the podcast certainly helped by trying to give younger musicians, you know, a platform, because I realize it's a very daunting business now. Even a couple of views of a podcast and earning a couple of new fans goes a long way. So I've tried to be better about reaching out and following the algorithm and you know, going on my streaming platform and you know, following the suggestions down that rabbit hole that you're talking about. Oh, if you like this, check out this, you might like this. And then I go deeper and deeper and deeper. And I have discovered a lot of great stuff and had the opportunity to have members from those particular bands on. But for a while, I was very set in my ways where like I wasn't really venturing out and finding a lot of new stuff. It wasn't because there's a lot of stuff out there. Certainly the platforms, someone told me there's 30,000 new songs on these being uploaded to these platforms on a daily basis. So there's certainly material out there, but sometimes it's finding stuff that you don't feel like is already kind of, you know, kind of been done already, you know, finding something new and challenging, you know?
Yeah, like, you know, are you familiar with a band called Captain Beyond?
No.
Okay, 1972, their first album, 1972. I'll tell you what, 1972 was a great year for music. The year I was born, actually, and
Yeah.
holy smokes, man! So they're called Captain Beyond. Their first two albums are brilliant. The first one is a conceptual album. The first three songs run into each other. I mean, you remember MySpace?
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
discovered them on MySpace in 2005. and I thought it was a hidden Jimi Hendrix song. This song was so heavy and cool. It's called "Raging River of Fear," and I think it's track 5. But this whole album is just amazing, and they're kind of a super group. The lead singer came from Deep Purple. You know that song "Hush."
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know the whole story. I don't know if he got fired or if he quit. But he and 3 other guys formed Captain Beyond, and talk about inspiring music. Like the heaviest, like they could go toe to toe with Led Zeppelin, on this for this album, or Jimi Hendrix. But here's a great example of a band that got buried in the annals of rock and roll music that inspire me, like truly inspire me. On the contemporary side, ever heard of the Lemon Twigs?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so they're kind of like doing what Todd Rundgren, like they're the power pop, Big Star, Raspberries, Todd Rundgren. They're doing like they satisfy that like singer songwriter, that power pop, like even the Who. You could consider them like the Who. I think the Who coined the term power pop.
Yeah.
So there's inspiration. You just gotta dig. You just gotta find it. And unfortunately, the radio shit, and there's a lot of shit out there, and you just gotta sift through it until you find what gets you off. And that's why I love Spotify, because Discover Weekly, there's a song or two. I'll go through the whole Discover Weekly, the 2.5 hours of music they throw at me, different songs, and there's always something interesting. And if there's not, then I'll come back next week. But I've discovered so much music through Spotify in the last 3 years that I've had this, that now I know it's endless, and you just gotta wait for something more, like just gotta wait, and there'll be more inspiration out there.
So the last MUGGS album was 2020's Slave to Sound Volume 5. I would be remiss if I didn't have you on here for any fans of the MUGGS that might be watching. Should we expect new music, and what would be the timeline like? Anything in the works in the MUGGS camp?
Oh man, I'm not the right guy to ask. Danny Muggs would be the guy to ask. And all
right, that's it. Get him in here. Where is he?
I know. I wish he's probably at home writing songs right now. But we got our asses kicked. COVID like destroyed us. We're supposed to tour with Slave to Sound, do another European tour in November of 2020, but we all know how that worked out. And then our tour manager that we've been working with since 2012, he suddenly passed away. And I think that was COVID related. So like a lot of relationships we'd formed, it just, disappeared instantly. And so then, we've had, some like other issues that have come up, and now we're just getting back to playing. We played the NFL draft that came to Detroit in April or in May. I think it was in April or May. And then we've only been taking 3 or 4 shows a year this calendar year. You never know what's going to happen. I would love if Danny were to say, "Tone, let's get back in the studio." But for now, let's just hit the pause button. And I would say this to all our fans, man. We've been busting our ass for 20 years straight. We needed a little break, and COVID doesn't count. So know that hopefully we have another album in us, but it's truly up to Danny at this point. And I've always been the push guy, and Danny, he's the fearless leader of this the MUGGS, so it's truly up to him.
Okay,
so we'll see.
Enough.
Yeah, we'll see. I wish I could say anything more encouraging, but I'm brutal honesty, man. That's my policy. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay, so now the tough questions, Tony, and obviously these are subjective. I say these for the end. For you, and now think your GOATs, your top musical artists of all time. Who is your Mount Rushmore?
Oh man.
Those four musical acts that just fucking do it for you, and they always will.
Okay. Queen.
Okay.
Freddie Mercury, the best front man.
Hey, that just made the Freddie Mercury puppet back there very excited. As you can see, his teeth are flaring, and he's excited, man. That made his day.
Oh man. Okay. So the Beach Boys.
Okay.
The Beatles, of course, and I say that with all due respect to people that are so sick of the Beatles. I use this trick on me, like consider it a hack, whatever you want to do. But I always like listening to all the classics that we've always grown up with.
Yeah.
I trick my brain into, and I ask myself this question: if I never heard this band before, or if I never heard the song before, would I appreciate it?
Right.
And it tricked my brain into saying, like, being a kid again, and just going, oh my God, this is the best song ever. And so that's what, it's just like I go back to the well, and it's just the well is so deep, and I can always tap back into that. So I say the Beatles, and I say Queen. It's all cliche, but it truly is. So Queen, the Beatles, who else did I say? Jimi Hendrix and the Who.
Okay. That's not a bad Mount Rushmore. I don't think anybody's going to be kicking up any fuss about those being your Mount Rushmore. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's cliche. I could say like the Pretty Things, who for two albums, SF Sorrow and Parachute are two of my, and I could turn on a dime and say Andy Schaaf from Canada, or I mean, it's kind of like asking me what's my current mood, because
Right.
what I'm saying,
could change tomorrow. Tomorrow. Yeah,
it definitely will change tomorrow. And with my songwriting, I write country western, I write ballads, I write weird songs, I write songs that sound like the Beatles. I write I can never write like the MUGGS write, and nor do I want to, because Danny is just on his own planet. But it's you always have to be true to yourself, right? So I'm inspired by so many artists these days. The list goes on and on. We could have a separate discussion. I could send you a playlist. Here's something interesting. I made my own playlist on Spotify. It's called "This Is Dude Detroit," and it's like 55 hours of music, and it's all the music I love, and it's from blues to country and western to the Beatles to it's got all the MUGGS on there, Dude on there, and just all the interesting songs that inspire me. That's on "This Is Dude Detroit." So if you want to get into my head space, just look up that Spotify link and playlist, and hopefully you'll enjoy a little bit of it. But that's a snapshot into my what really turns me on as a musician.
I'll bet you environment, though, has a lot to do with it too, man. Because you make the point about being from Detroit. I know this being like a New Yorker, though, man. There is something to be said, and I'm not trying to sound like one state is more holier than the other or whatever, man. But I mean, you are cut from a different cloth, man. Detroit's a tough fucking area, man. New York's a tough area, man. I think we're born and bred differently, man, and we react to adversity differently.
Yeah, I mean, we've always Detroiters always have a chip on their shoulder. I mean, we're doing way better now, but I mean, we've been the punchline to every joke for since I can remember. But that gives us, we're tough, and I always say there's something in the water. Like, my goodness, like Motown, techno. I mean, there's so many famous dudes that came out of men and women that came out of Detroit.
It's crazy. I mean, Kiss, the Motor City Madman, Ted Nugent. I mean, you've had some blockbusters. All those, like you said, all those great Motown bands. Yeah,
MC5. Stevie Wonder. Oh man, like I should mention Stevie. Can I? I'm gonna add to my Mount Rushmore Stevie Wonder. Like, if you don't know Stevie Wonder, he had from from 20 years old to 25, he had 5 albums, and these were his 5. He's considered a genius for these 5 albums.
Yeah.
Music in My Mind, Talking Book, Intervisions, Fulfilling This is First Finale, and Songs in the Key of Life, which was a double album.
Amazing. Yeah.
From 20 to 25 years old, and add that he got into a car accident and was in a coma for a month of his life. During that period, he still wrote like 5 of the most inspiring albums of all time.
Yeah, and that's a guy going through adversity. For fuck's sake, the guy can't even see.
I know, man.
That's. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. Okay, so my other follow-up question is, and you might be able to answer this one. I get the feeling you might have a definitive answer. If I'm taking Tony DeNARDO, Tony Muggs, and dropping him on a desert island, what's the desert island album that you take with you? If you can only pull one with you.
Oh man, it would have to be the White Album, because it's a double album.
Okay, get more music. Yeah, smart. Bang for your buck.
Yeah. Who the hell is Tony DeNARDO? I'm Tony Muggs, damn it.
Oh shit, I just blew your cover. I know. And I should understand, man. And I should understand that too, man, because I have a cover too. I mean, I in my preamble before you get in here, I've got more aliases than fucking I don't know what. You know what I mean? I've dubbed myself the King of Sleaze, the Son of Glam, Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. You can see down there, man, Rexx Ruger. I mean, I mean, what the fuck am I running and hiding from? God only knows.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure you have some things to hide from.
Well, I've been married 26 years, man. So all the wild shit is long behind me. I mean, I've got 6 grandkids. I mean,
congratulations, man.
I'm pretty rooted in a regular, I don't want to say like a sedentary life, but I'm pretty dug in, and at this point, doing the podcast, having a full family life, I'm pretty much a homebody, you know what I mean? But I like having the podcast because it is an outlet, a creative outlet of sorts, Oh yeah,
and you do a great job, man.
And I love talking to interesting people too. You know what I mean? Like I tell people all the time, like who I have on here. I know, I respect and admire like what they do. I'm not just going through like looking at bands and just pulling names out of a fucking hat to have on here. You know what I mean? Like I can kind of tell that there's going to be something, or it's going to lead to an interesting conversation. I know your backstory and all that stuff. So and I figured not only will it be a great backstory, I on some level, it's going to find somebody out there that it's going to inspire.
There are so many interesting people in Detroit. If you want, I can give you a treasure trove of names.
Yeah.
But I'm there's been talks of ruminating about like a movie, and I'm actually talking to a woman who's got connections to HBO, and you never know what's going to happen. Like I say, I'd say my story is interesting enough to merit a movie or a miniseries, but I would love that just to show that kids out there and anyone who's kind of downtrodden, that you can make the best out of a shitty hand if you apply yourself and you believe. And and that's Tony Blue Skies. You hear it here first, man. I'm never going to give up on my friends or family or music. And that's just who I am. That's how I'm wired. And, I can't wait for the next chapter of my life, because it's going to be great. It's going to be beautiful.
So if people want to check out what you're doing, like what's the best place to find your music and your projects? Is there a best place to go? Is it finding you on Facebook? Is there a website? What's the best way?
Well, there's TonyMuggs.com, and within the TonyMuggs.com, there's a Muggs page, Dude page, and my other 2 bands, Rattlesnake Shake and Megaweed, for my tribute bands. I haven't added the hourlies yet, but I always try to say this is one-stop shopping. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm Tony Muggs on Instagram and Tony Muggs on Facebook. And from there, you can ask me all the questions, and I'll give you links to all my music. Dude Detroit, or the Muggs Detroit, on Instagram. And just we're not too far. We're not. I'm not too hard to find on the web. You just got.
And that website also would provide a link if you wanted to run down a copy of the book as well.
Yeah. So at the top, there's a link to Amazon. But I always encourage people to email me directly and say, I want a copy of your book. I'll sign it for you, and then we'll discuss the price. It's not that much. It's $35, but it's at the coffee table. It's a glossary. It's about 230 pages, and then almost 100 pages of glossary. Because it was so Detroit centric. There are bands that I name, and I wanted to shine a light on everyone who inspired me.
Yeah.
In the past, all the bands that I grew up watching in Detroit, it shaped me and made me want to play music. And there's just, it's so comprehensive. I talk about streets and locations, and I wanted to give you a sense of what Detroit is like. And hilarious stories about me and Danny when we were little shits and getting arrested, and it's I try to write it. It's funny, it's funny, but it's also like heartfelt, So I straddle that line, but Are
there other rock biographies that you've read that you like? Do you like that genre of reading? Have there been other people in the music world who have put out books that that have kind of that you've gravitated to?
Not I'm woefully underread when it biographies. I've read Hammer of the Gods. I've read Ray Charles. But I'm so busy that and this is just an excuse, but I don't make time to read like I should. I love.
Well, it also seemed hard too, because a lot of the musicians, especially a lot of the ones like through the '80s, when it was a lot of style over substance, a lot of them are just, I hate to say it, man, but a lot of them are just like just filled with like tales of debauchery. I mean, it's like conquests of women and drinking and partying and that kind of stuff. I mean,
this is not my autobiography is not that kind of. I wrote the whole thing, and I wrote in the style that I italicize words and phrases that I encourage you to look up in the glossary. But it's very much, I'm breaking the fourth window, so to speak. Like they always say, I had to look up, like I knew it was a thing, but it's called an authorial intrusion when you break the fourth window, so to speak, or a fourth wall in a book. And so it's actually kind of unique because I'm talking directly to you, the reader.
Yeah.
And I'm just asking for a little sympathy, or like, what the fuck? My luck is just like, can you believe this? And I'm talking directly to you.
Yeah.
And so I wrote it in a way, like if you read the prologue, you'll pick up on how I'm suggesting to the reader how I'd like you to read this.
Yeah. It's almost conversational by nature. It almost feels like doing this with you.
Exactly. I was just going to mention that. It's like, imagine if we run into each other at a bar. And we strike up a conversation. That's how I want you to think about this book as you're reading it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'll be in touch. I've got your number now. I'll text you like once we're done here, and
man.
Like around payday, man. I'll hit you up, and you can give me the details, man. And I would love a copy, and I'll certainly do whatever I can to promote it and hold it up on here. Every once in a while, so people, kind of find out about it, and. Especially since I talk to so many people from the music world here, because, adversity can strike anybody at any time. And you've obviously battled back, man. But as I said earlier, you were a guy that took care of your body, that was in tremendous shape. And even when I think of the guy from Def Leppard, he's driving along one minute, he's a drummer in the biggest rock band in the world. And suddenly he's got to relearn how to do all that again with one arm as a fucking drummer, for fuck's sake. I mean? So adversity can strike any of us at any time, regardless of how much we're treating our body like a temple, or how much we think we've got all this fucking shit in life figured out. You know what I mean? It can flip on us like that,
Yep. And so my mantra is treat every day like it's your last. Like,
absolutely.
I don't care if I'm playing in front of one person or 100 or 1,000. I always give it my all. And just try to love and respect people every day, and make somebody smile, for God's sakes. Like everyone is a little bit too self-absorbed, in my opinion, these days. like let's flip the script and do unto others what we'd like to have done to us.
Yeah.
So
Well
be
said. Yeah.
be a little more selfless and try to make somebody smile.
Yeah. Listen, man, I'm glad we got a chance to do this, man. I've really enjoyed this hour that we spent together, man. We got each other's contact information now. Definitely stay in touch. I'd love to do this again, man, for sure. Anytime you got something cooking or anything on the home front coming up or whatever, or just in general, just to hop on here and just do it again, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always down just to have, the whole idea of the podcast is not just to always promote something that somebody's doing, or, right now you have to have an album out or something to talk about. I mean, I just try to just put good conversations on here,
Absolutely, man. I'll keep in touch and,
yeah,
wish you all the best. And let's do this again.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot, Tony. I really enjoyed this.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
brother. All right.
All right,
Talk to you soon, man. Thank you. Later, man. There he goes, folks. Tony Muggs, a.k.a. Tony DeNARDO. Maybe I wasn't supposed to divulge that, but I did. But from the legendary Detroit band, the MUGGS. If you don't know the MUGGS, again, do yourself a fucking favor and then come back and tell your boy Rexx, thanks for hipping us to the MUGGS, man. Rexx Ruger approved once again, man. Do go check out the MUGGS. The last album was 2020's Slave to Sound, Volume 5. Going back before that, 2015, Straight Up Boogaloo. But you can go find a whole discography wherever the fuck it is that you listen to music, man. Do yourself a favor. A little bit of blues, a little bit of punk, a little bit of something for everybody. Again, another one of those eclectic bands where you can pull a lot of different genres out, from amongst their sound and say, wow, man, these guys are doing something challenging and interesting for the listener. Just a great band, man, with a cool, edgy attitude to them, man. And Tony, an amazing story of coming back from some serious health adversity, man, and just almost relearning how to be a person and a musician again, functioning anyway. So a truly heroic story, man. As he mentioned, he has encapsulated that in a book, which I would certainly encourage people to go check out. I know I myself am going to go check it out, man. Just a really, really, really great guy, really great band, and a really great story and a really great message, man. So I implore people to go check out anything that the MUGGS are doing. Go support Tony Muggs, man. Reach out to him, man. Grab a copy of that book, man. Fucking cop their music, cop their merch. Do what you can to give these guys a fucking hand, man. As you know, from me talking to so many musicians on here, it's dog eat dog out there right now, man. Feast or famine. So these guys are giving you their fucking art and a piece of themselves. The least we can do is fucking say, hey, man, let us buy some merch, man. Let us buy this fucking album, man. Let us come see you fucking play live, man. You know what I mean? Like, you love these guys. You love what they give you. They entertain you or whatever, man. That demands a price, man. Regardless of whether you agree with that or not, man. Nobody should be doing anything for fucking free, man. These guys are working, man. I wouldn't expect to go to my job and do it. No offense. I love what I do, man, but I wouldn't do it out of the kindness of my own fucking heart. I got bills to pay. I have a life. You know what I mean? I have fucking grandkids I have to fucking spoil. There's needs out there, man. Your utilities, your car, this stuff doesn't all run for free, man. So musicians are out there, man, grinding just like the fucking rest of us, man. Presenting us with their art, whether it's a painting or an album or a song or whatever, man. So give them the proper respect, man. Help lift them up, man, and do right by them, man. And that was a great conversation with Tony Muggs. I really appreciate him coming on here, man. I'm glad I got a chance to run him down. Super interesting cat, man, with a super amazing story, man. So as I said, go support everything the MUGGS do. And hey, Freddie Mercury got on the fucking Mount Rushmore. What do you make of that, Freddie, huh? Boy, his teeth are fucking woo-hoo-hoo. I can tell right now. They're tingling. They're tingling right now, man. Freddie Mercury was shouted out on the show. So shout out to Tony Muggs for shouting out my silent partner back there, the Freddie Mercury puppet, man. Make sure to like and follow us on Facebook. This is where it all goes down, right here. The coolest conversations happening right here on PodScum, man. Also, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay tapped in, man. And remember, you know what I always say when I end these things. So open up your ears and listen. And remember to take it easy and do make sure to keep it sleazy.